Today's reflection is the call to division. I have come to bring fire on the earth, and how I wish it were already kindled. But I have a baptism to undergo, and what constraint I am under until it is completed. Do you think I came to bring peace on earth? No, I tell you, but division. From now on there will be 5 in one family, divided each against the other, 3 against 2, and 2 against 3. They will be divided, father against son, and son against father, mother against daughter, and daughter against mother, mother-in-law against daughter-in-law, and daughter-in-law against mother-in-law. Luke 12:49-53. Recently, one of the exhibitions in the National Museum of Wales asked the question, "What do you want from life?" and then provided labels for people to write their answers. The answers from visitors from across the globe revealed something about contemporary values and priorities. Leaving aside my favourite answer, marry a ginger-haired person and have a baby called Chad, a good number of the others simply stated they wanted to have fun, be happy, get rich, or be wealthy. In our passage today, Jesus was addressing a large crowd. Imagine they would have been shocked by what they heard. Scholars consider these to be some of the hard sayings of the New Testament, the sayings that shock us, the verses that seem to go against the think of faith about us. Jesus tells his listeners that he has come to bring fire to earth. He says that he has not come to bring peace, but division. He tells them that he has come to divide, father against son, mother against daughter. What did Jesus, the Prince of Peace, mean when he said all this? Surely he is not calling us to conflict and division. Before you rush away and pick up an argument with the next family member you speak to, we must, of course, remember that the spirit and thrust of Jesus' teaching and life are calling us to live lives of peace, compassion, and love, rather than going against his call for us to live lives of love and peace. This seemingly shocking passage is, in fact, talking about the consequences of living out that very calling. Jesus is here referring to the Old Testament. In the final chapters of Micah, the prophet predicts that division in families will happen when God's Spirit is at work. In other words, God's call on our lives is so radical and revolutionary that it will lead to fracture, disagreement, and division. In responding to the question from the museum, a Christian's answer will sooner or later clash with those whose answers are superficial, hedonistic, or materialistic. After all, any strong-held views about what is important in life have the potential to divide people and to flare into disagreements. This is, to use the phrase from the singer-writer Billy Bragg, the sound of ideologies clashing. In our passage, Jesus is therefore talking about the natural consequences of loving our neighbours and recognising the ultimate value of all living things. He is calling us to get our priorities right. He is saying very clearly that faithfulness to him, living out his life of compassion, love and peace, must be the top of our priority list, and if it is, it will lead to clashes with others whose priorities are different. Jesus certainly does not want division within households and families, but he knows all too well that following him will not mean a rosy, easy life. Being his disciple has consequences. As a young man in the 1930s, my wife's great-grandfather recognised how Hitler's Third Reich was dehumanising people, and this clashed with his deeply held Christian faith. As a result, it led to friction, division and conflict within family and friends. It was all a question of priorities. What did so many of them want from life? They would say to make their country great again, to rebuild its economic and military prowess, to help its people thrive, and to reassert control of the future of their nation. What did he want from life? He wanted the radical message of God's love to shine through and touch the hearts of his people. He believed that making his country great was not to do with control, wealth, or military prowess, but with love, welcome, and justice for the oppressed. The truth is that developing our relationship with Jesus and fostering our spiritual life continues to demand that we make all sorts of moral and social stands, great and small. When we make justice and love our priorities in our lives, then we are going to clash with those who have different priorities. But when our views clash with those who prioritise prestige, power, or possessions, we must not be disheartened. After all, the last chapter of Micah may warn of division in families, but the chapter does not end there. The Jewish people listening to Jesus 2,000 years ago would have known that Micah's prophecy finishes with a great hope for the future. Other Old Testament prophets and indeed Jesus' own life offers that same hope. The fruit of that righteousness will be peace. Its effect will be quietness and confidence forever. Isaiah 32:17. However alone we feel when we are prioritising Jesus' teaching of hope, love and peace, we must take heart. God's kingdom is breaking through all around us, and in the end, however bleak it might seem, hope will triumph, justice will prevail, and love will win. Reflection. Take time to think about when you have had to take a stand on something. Where did you find the courage? What was the outcome? How do you feel about it all now, looking back? Pray to God to give you courage in the future and to keep you loving even those with whom you disagree.